Welcome to our international podcast, Below the Belt. Who vex lose? Who vex? Is your face. Is now you. Who vex? Folks, today we're discussing the PPP wickedness and how they want to change the Public Accounts Committee in the National Assembly to prevent scrutiny. The wicked, stinking, dirty. That's what we say. Who vex? Who vex lose? Beatrice Selby, the wicked, stink, and dirty. Trevon McDonald, we say likewise, the wicked, stink, and dirty, who vex, PPP, wickedness, changing the Public Accounts Committee to suit their own whims and fancies, and the wickedness, stinking, dirty, comes nastiness. That's what they're up to. Good to have each and every one of you folks below the belt with us today. We're broadcasting from the national capital city, and we're so privileged to have each and every one of you guys. Again, we could not submit that. Y'all know you're good like that. Y'all know you're good like that, folks. Good to see you. Good to see so many of you. You know, as soon as you come below the belt, folks, share the damn live stream, smash the emoji. But what's y'all want to hear? What you want to know? Those are the main things. Share, smash, partner with us. Share, smash, partner with us. What else y'all want to hear? Good to see you, Vanessa Johnson, and is it Vern April? Good to see you, Vern. A good day to you, folks. Drop a comment. Let me give you a shout out. Like Chisel Chipper 68. You're chipping up everything. Chisel Chipper. Chisel Chipper. Good to see you. Good to see each and every one of you, except, good day to all except PPP. Good afternoon to all except PPP. Folks, we hope it's a fantastic Tuesday. It's a terrific Tuesday where you guys are. It's sunny where we are, guys. How is the weather by y'all? How is the weather by you? How is the weather by y'all? Folks, hope it's fine. Hope it's good weather. It's good weather at our end. The guys are telling us. They're telling us that it's 29 degrees outside, but it feels like 34. It feels like 29 degrees. It says there's a 5% chance it's going to rain. I can tell you that's fantastic weather. Incredible and valid information. We get our weather from weather.com. You know them boys locally here. They sleep at the wheel 1 or 2 times. More 2 times than 1. Just be asleep at the wheel when it says rain is sun. When it says sun is thunderstorm setup. So we go to weather.com, and weather.com is usually accurate. When somebody says a 5% chance it's going to rain, it ain't raining. But it must put something in the column. So put 5%. But it ain't raining. It's 29 degrees outside. They say it feels like 34. How is the weather by y'all? How is the weather where you guys are? We trust it's fantastic. Alexis Melville and Amos Linton, Amanda Nelson and Penelope Hudson, Pamela Sanchari. Good to see each and every one. With Flora Jacob Ward, led by Beatrice Healthy, always first out of the block. Good to see you for Whiskey Session. Whiskey, listening from Tiger Bay. We'll be out here. Whiskey be out here. How's it there in Tiger Bay? Hope all is well. Magnell Barrow says she's watching us from Brooklyn. Come true. Rock and come in, Magnell. She says it's good weather down there in Brooklyn. I will send some a little foreign breeze. Send some little foreign breeze with Tessa Isaacs. Rivzandi says she's listening from Orlando. I don't know if it's Orlando House or it's Orlando, Florida. Tessa, how you doing? Good to see you, Tessa. Good to have you up in the Hizza. Irwin Don Cook is here too, from all the way from the fantastic, beautiful, lovely place, Region 3, right across the Harbour Bridge. Good to see you, Irwin Don Cook, Tamika Webster. Folks, what's bubbling in the pot where you are? What's bubbling? I feel like some like a stew bora with some fish or either beef, but it has to be very tender beef. You know, tender beef, like it's just loosening up on you. Yeah, something like that. I feel like that's what I'm feeling for lunch. I haven't had anything as yet, folks. Haven't had anything as yet. Fasting with you guys. Fasting and prayers. Through lunch, gonna pick up something afterwards. Glycis Mingo Byrne is out here with me. Glycis, how you doing? Good to see you, Glycis. Carol Jonas is here as well. Carol says she's listening from French Guiana. We're happy about that. Happy about that. Good day to you, Candy. Nalini Indrajit. Candy says good day. Good to see you, Candy. What's simmering in Skeldon? Tell us, Candy, tell us. Don't keep it all to yourself. What's simmering in Skeldon, folks? We want to know. We would like to know what is simmering in Skeldon. Well, we know y'all are cutting cane. We know according to Papa Jagabat, y'all are cutting kale in Skeldon. So what's y'all doing in Skeldon? What's simmering? We know it's not cane juice. We know it's not sugar. So allow us to know what is simmering. What one thing we know is Skeldon get not Skeldon in particular. Rose Hall get in the airport. So just know y'all flying in from Rose Hall International. We got to put one in Iceland next to the university. Rose Hall get in the airport, people. Rose Hall, turn up. Rosa getting airport, Palmyra getting a stadium. There's one thing that people they never put a stadium where they actually got people who are prowess in sports. But we know we got some good cricketers who come from that area. Perhaps. One or two good cricketers come from that area there. Region 6 in general, some good cricketers, perhaps. Right? I can see how to make sense. So you can fly from Rose Hall to the stadium now in Palmyra. Yep. So, Candy, how's it going in that section here? Candy says it's warm and sunny there in Skeldon. Cheryl Mulvin says hemp in airport building. Hemp can plant in airport go build. I saw that, Chef. I saw that. Yep. Candy says, Marky says hello. So, folks, hello from Marky. Say hello to us too. Say hello to us too, Candy. Say hello to us. Good to have you, Jackie Baird and Nadia Jatindra. Nadia Jatindra, good to see you, Nadia. See, sometimes you gotta sound up. See you, Jatindra. Oh, got it right there. Oh, I want to put my primary school to shame. South Granville Park Primary. Don't want to put them to shame at all. Yep. Don't want to be put. Barbies. No sugar. They shut down everything, folks. Well, let me see. The promise to make sugar great again. How they looking? So means I get crank with airport and stadium. How they looking? You promise to make sugar great again. And then the fishermen too at the quarantine there. You promise to bring back, to make fishing great again. How it looking? Trench crappos and jacobats. How it looking? How it looking for we? So those are some of the issues, guys, making the local news. Some of the issues that are making the local news. Yep. And then we're talking this story about to share a defense proposal for quorum change in the Public Accounts Committee. We're going to talk a bit about that. It's a set of scampery, That's what's happening. They're fiddling with these things to their own benefit. And that's the crux of our discussion today. PPP wickedness. Changing the PAC in the National Assembly to prevent scrutiny. And folks, as I go along, if you have a thought, I think I'm going to allow you to send a voice note, not too long. Some of you are sending some long voice notes like it's y'all was in this program. I can start the voice note now and come back at the end. And people still talking. Some long voice notes. Right? So send if you have a contribution to make to the subject matter, I would allow you to send a voice note. Right? In the name of Abiola Washington and Tamika Webster and Gwenna Jones, in the name of Ingrid King, Cheryl Mulray, I would allow you to send a voice note. Right? We had a committee meeting just now. It has been decided. It has been decided. How y'all doing, people? How y'all be? How y'all there? How y'all act? Miles King, all the kings here is a whole family royalty, Miles King. Right? Miles King is a whole set of people who are here. Miles, which Critchlow? Which Critchlow? Let me know which Critchlow, Miles King, and I'll see if I can do you a favor. I just see you said tell Critchlow be on your shows. Let me see which Critchlow. Let me see which Critchlows, and then we take it from there. We're going to take it from there. But good to see you guys. Good to see you guys. Love having you guys here with us. Love having you guys here with us. And good to have each and every one of you. Good to have each and every one of you guys. Good to have you here. Alan, see PNC press conference on my page. Currently live. Our numbers low. All right, so we got a number of things to discuss, guys. Just been checking there on the, just paused for a second there to check on the People's National Congress Reforms press conference, asking one of our tech guys to see if it's on our page, and we wanna I'm gonna try to pull some of it through our end here as well. We're gonna try to pull in some of them so you can benefit from that as well, and then we're gonna pick up our discussion on the other end. We're gonna try to get a synopsis. So let's see what's happening there, guys, with the People's National Congress Reforms press conference. They might have snuck that one in on us at this end. May have snuck that one in on us at this end, and we're going to try to get a sense of what's happening. We're going to try to get a sense of what's this happening. We're going to try to patch it through to our end on this side. So bear with us, guys. We're going to pull that through, and then we're going to pick up on our topic of discussion as soon as we wrap up on the People's National Congress Reforms press conference. Let's try to pull some of that through our end. We just got to ensure we're working smarter and not harder. That's how we try to do things here. Smarter and not harder. That's press conference is going up. We're going to try to pull some of it in here. Yep, I think they're on. So let me try to pull it in. Let me try to pull that in for us. If you just bear with us for a sec, we're gonna be just bear with us for a second, guys. We're gonna try to pull some of that audio in for the press conference. So bear with us. Yep. Folks, again, for those of you now tuning in, those of you who are already with us, this is the People's National Congress Reforms Press Conference for April 12th, 2022. We're going to pull in some of the audio now. Guys, are you getting the audio? Just want to make sure. Guys, are you getting that audio? Just want to make sure that you're hearing the press conference that is currently on the way. Alan? All right, we're gonna try another way to get the audio. We're gonna try and get another way to get the audio in for you guys. Yep, we gotta do what we gotta do. All right, we're going to try to bring in that audio from another way because we want to make sure that you're getting what's happening with the press conference coming out of the People's National Congress Reform, and we're not duplicating efforts. All right, they're wrapping up at their end. This presser here, they are wrapping up at their end. We're trying to adjust our audio. Bear with us. Almost there. Welcome back, and we're going to see again if we can pull in some of this, at least the initial aspects of the press conference. We're going to try to pull some of that in for you. So just bear with us, and we're going to try to pull back in some of the initial remarks of that press conference. Bear with us. We're going to pull it right back in a second. Yep. And we're going to have some of that shortly for you guys. Apologies there for the audio previously.
For April 12th, 2022. As is customary today, our statement will be read in two parts. But before I
So we're going to take the statement and then we're going to come right back.
Panel for today, with me on my right is Honorable Mr. Jeremy Secure, MP, and to his right, Ms. Amanda Walton, MP. They'll be our panelists today, and the statement will be read in two parts. We will start with Ms. Amanda. Ladies and gentlemen of the media, good morning. We wish to bring recent developments to your attention as it relates to the amendments to the Registration of Births and Deaths. The recent amendments to the Registration of Births and Deaths Act are a ploy to pad the voters list with migrants and other ineligibles. You will recall that in August 2021, the PPPC administration brought to the National Assembly the Registration of Births and Deaths Amendment Bill, which they used their one-seat majority to pass into law. as Act Number 9 of 2021. Particularly, this act introduced into our law a seemingly harmless provision, which the PPPC government said was intended to simplify the requirements for obtaining a Guyana birth certificate. We warned then of the sinister motive behind this provision, and less than 1 year later, we see that the PPPC has put into motion their plan to register persons who are without a true and legitimate basis for such registration. This is clearly an effort aimed at padding the voters list, since any person once armed with a Guyana birth certificate and over 14 years of age now becomes entitled to be entered on the National Register of Registrants, from which the voters list is extracted. Section 44A, one of the new sections inserted into the law, outlines the process by which an adult who has no documentation whatsoever may acquire a Guyana birth certificate on the basis of one of the following alone. One, a declaration in a prescribed form signed by a person of high standing in the community, including a community leader or a toshal. Two, a declaration under the Statutory Declarations Act by a person of high standing in the community, including a community leader or a toshal. This declaration is to be signed by a justice of the peace or a commissioner of oaths, and the declaration must state the particulars of the birth of the person. Or three, any other document with information, including a certificate of baptism or information in the marriage registers. Effectively, the law provides a means for any person to be registered as a born Guyanese without the need to provide cogent evidence that they were indeed born in Guyana. Compare this slackness with the much more stringent requirements in other countries. In Trinidad, for example, a person seeking a birth certificate is required to provide documentary proof, such as a letter from the hospital where they were born, if they were born at the hospital, an immunization card, the names of their siblings, or a record from the school which they attended. All documents that a genuine applicant already has or can readily obtain access to. We cautioned then that this was a plan to covertly effect tens of thousands of birth registrations, particularly in those far-flung hinterland regions, using an established network of PPPC-aligned justices of the peace, toshals, and notaries public. This danger is compounded by the fact that the Guyana Elections Commission, GECOM, is engaged in office-based registration and not house-to-house registration, which means that any person in possession of a Guyana birth certificate who is aged 14 years and above can present themselves to the relevant GECOM office and must be entered on the National Register of Registrants. The nefarious intent of this legislation is further underscored when one considers the fact that it was the PPPC administration that expressed its concern about the corrupt dealings of justices of the peace and notaries public. It is to be recalled that in the National Assembly on January 24th of this year, 2022, whilst making his contribution to the debate on the Powers of Attorney Amendment Bill, the Attorney General Anil Nandlal said, and I quote, "Unfortunately, in many cases, those who prepare the legal instruments, such as powers of attorney, are either complicit in the fraud or are negligently executing their statutory function. And that contributes significantly to the creation of fraudulent and illegal instruments. A power of attorney by law must be executed before a notary public or a magistrate. One would think that a person holding such a high office would not be particeps criminis, or one who takes part in a crime, or would exercise his functions with circumspection and care." He went on to say that clearly this does not happen. It is therefore the highest level of hypocrisy for the government have entrusted these same officials, some of whom they deemed corrupt when it suited their purposes, with the power to essentially confer the status of a citizen of Guyana upon an individual. Guyanese must be aware that the registration of births and deaths is a critical component of our national security. The adding of persons to a register who are not legitimately entitled to be there undermines the integrity of the population and can lead to anomalies in the allocation of resources and voting and representation. It can also facilitate the placement of fifth columnists and operatives into key government, military, and leadership positions, both at the local and national levels. And the soft invasion of the country by the addition of foreign nationals to achieve a desired outcome of one group or the possible annexation by another country, control of key regions in our country, similar to what played out before our very eyes recently in the Russia-Ukraine conflict. You will recall, Russia cited the protection of the lives of Russian citizens in the Donbass as justification for military action against Ukraine. Now, our party wishes to reiterate that despite these deep concerns, we remain committed to the comfortable settlement of economic migrants in our homeland as demonstrations of our typical Guyanese hospitality and our full compliance with those international humanitarian obligations to refugees. Nevertheless, because of the incompetence of the PPPC administration, the situation is exacerbated and the dangers heightened by the facts of our extremely porous borders, our lax system of immigration and border control, and the inability of this government to determine who is crossing our borders out of real economic necessity. We continue to maintain that this law in its current format is inimical to the interests of Guyana and the Guyanese people. The time is long past for a national conversation on migration, on the treatment of migrants, and the path to Guyanese citizenship. Unless decisive action is taken, Guyanese will find themselves relegated to second-class citizens in their own country. At best, we maintain, the amendment is intended to facilitate electoral manipulation. At worst, it will create the conditions propitious for the eventual takeover of our country by those who have for decades maintained claims against our territory. It ought to be clear to all by now that the PPPC government is bent on maintaining political power through domination and control, even if it means sacrificing Guyana's interests, including our national security interests, for their own selfish gain.
Thank you. Next part of the statement will be read by MP Fidel.
Good morning, members of the media. The PPPC's arrogance and obsession for domination are dangerous to stability and democracy. The evidence is increasingly mounting that the PPPC is hell-bent on a course of action that can only lead to political instability and to the erosion of democracy in our country. As predicted by many when the PPPC was installed in office in August 2020, its ingrained tendencies of autocracy, self-centeredness, arrogance, and recklessness have taken deeper roots. Matters have now reached the point where the rule of law, political inclusivity, racial harmony, and moral decay face daily battering at the hands of the PPPC. In describing the current crisis in governance, the PNCR is not propagandizing or engaging in hyperbole. The evidence speaks for itself. The nation is seeing and feeling the full destructive fallout. Let us highlight a few examples of the PPPC's action of which we speak. One, the imposition of IMC on the Linden Utility Services Co-op Society Limited. This is clearly an attempt by the PPC to put in place a management committee it can control so that it can hold the people of Linden hostage. Two, the intended motion on the PAC by the PPP is directly to stymie the scrutiny of the people's money under this regime. Three, it pretends that all is well at GCOM and that the comprehensive electoral reforms are not needed, despite calls from CARICOM Observer Mission, among others, for fresh registration from scratch. Four, the blatant padding of the voters list using the amended Registration of Births and Deaths Act. Five, to continue to Guyana policy towards the allocation of funds to NDCs and RDCs, whereby specifically opposition-led councils are discriminated against. Six, the continued land grabbing in Mocha, Belladrum, Ogle, Linden, and other parts and in other communities outside the PPP stronghold speaks volume. Seven, the unconstitutional appointment of the acting police commissioner, Mr. Clifton Hickins. Eight, the reluctance of the PPPC to implement relief measures to deal with the current rising of cost of living. All these are acts on others to demoralize the nation and sap the energies and faith of its people. Matters will get worse if the PPP continues to believe that its attempt at political domination should stand above the people's interests and that which we as the party will stand resolute against. We raise these concerns with a sense of urgency to alert citizens that the nation is plundering headlong into a national crisis. If left unchallenged, the PPPC will continue to assume that Guyana belongs to Freedom House by decree or birthright. If left unchecked and unchallenged, the country will face a crisis in governance that will bring needless harm at a time when the blessings of the oil wealth should be inspiring national optimism and rapid development. So the question is, what is the way forward? Clearly, to await good sense to infuse the PPP would be a waste of time. Instead, decent citizens, the private media, enlightened civil society organizations must continue to expose, resist, and revert the excesses of the PPPC, thereby protecting our country and ensuring it does not descend further into a crisis in democracy and governance. I thank you.
Yep, and that's the statement and that end coming out of the just concluded PNCR press conference for April 12th, 2022. And folks, I'm very, very privileged to have joining me this afternoon the Chief Whip of the National Assembly. And I'm so happy that my brother is going to be joining us. Christopher, how are you doing?
Good morning. Good afternoon, Sharon. Good afternoon to your listeners.
Fantastic. Christopher, tomorrow is the sitting of the National Assembly. Tomorrow. A lot of things are happening tomorrow in the National Assembly. Let's start first off the bat with this wickedness, this piece of wickedness by the PPP in terms of this motion that is coming to change, how the Public Accounts Committee is constituted in terms of its quorum. Chris, this thing going good all the time. Even when the PPP had the chairmanship of the Public Accounts Committee, they had no problem with
Democracy, participational democracy, and the likes. Because several years ago, you had a situation in which the parliament, it wasn't on a level playing field. And you had Sir Michael Davies, who came here to provide guidance. And there is a whole slew of report, the Sir Davies report, that came out and outline and guide the parliament in terms of how the composition of these committees and so forth should be had. I have in my possession right now the Hansard from when the Sir Michael Davies report was submitted to the National Assembly, of which it was unanimously passed and agreed upon because MPs from both sides of the House had an opportunity to participate in the discourse. The People's Progressive Party Civic at that time, and it would have been the PNC. And of course, Madam Gail Teixeira, who is an MP for the longest um, sitting MP currently, she participated in those discourse. So she's fully knowledge as to the rationale as to why it was done that way. And they voted in support of it. Lo and behold, years after, here it is now that Madam Gail Teixeira, who participated in those discourse, is now seeking to retrogress the progress that the National Assembly and Guyana as a whole has made as a result of the Sir Michael Davies report. It is most worrying. And again, as you and several of our colleagues been saying ad nauseum, that it is a continued pattern by the current PPP administration to not only stymie the work of the opposition, but to limit participation in this uh, democratic setting. Is that you make nonsense essentially now of the Public Accounts Committee if this amendment to the standing order is passed, because essentially if the PPP decides that none of their members will attend the PAC, then there is no PAC.
Yep.
If even if one of their member participate without the two, there is no PAC. No decisions can be made. And when you look at the track record of the PPP in terms of their attendance at the Public Accounts Committee, it is not a stellar one. It is not a stellar one. You have them in some cases, absenteeism, 50%, 40%, and so forth. And whereas when you look at the APNU AFC members, who are David Patterson, Ganesh Mahipal, Jirita Finance, and German Figueroa, who is the chairman, their attendance to the PAC is 85 and 100% attendance. So it is not anybody's fault that the PPP doesn't see the importance of attending PAC. And as a result of that, now they completely stymie, stalled, and stopped the work of the PAC. Now, I mean, when you look things with the political eyes, you also realize that currently the Public Accounts Committee are examining the reports from 2017, 2018, 2019, and so forth. And that is the period under the APNU AFC administration. If this amendment is allowed to pass, and the PPP has its way in which they can stymie the work of the PAC or the meeting of the PAC, it means that we will reach somewhere around 2025 in the calendar year, and we would now be completing 2019 or 2020 of the APNU AFC administration. That means the PPP is trying to hide their record, which speaks from the latter half of 2020, 2021, and of course 2022. Cheryl, you on your program, like your colleagues, have been exposing the People's Progressive Party Civic, and you have civil society articles 13 and the likes, Raman Rakri and so forth, have been exposing this administration of how the manner in which the public purse is being administered. And this is from, as I mentioned, the latter half of 2020, 2021, and 2022. But this move by the PPP to change the composition of the Public Accounts Committee is a straight political move to stymie the work of the PAC. So you will complete this 5-year tenure without even having an opportunity to examine 1 year of the PPP in office. You could speak about the monies and the allocation when they spoke about the COVID-19 cash grant. You know of the numerous corruption that transpired there, the farmers cash grant. And that is just the tip of the iceberg. You haven't even gone into those ministries and those government agencies in which hundreds of millions of dollars have been dispersed. You had from the prime minister's office, for example, with hampers. I think it was somewhere in the vicinity of 400 and something million dollars in hampers, and they only have receipts for about 80 something $1,000. And that started and that started. So that is exactly what the PPP is attempting to do once again. And this is a pattern that is happening in this country. It smacks in the face of democracy. It smacks in the face of participation of democracy in this country. We have descended, and we continue to descend on a daily basis in this country.
Yep. Couldn't put it any better, Chris. For instance, even Gaisuko, billions have been spent in Gaisuko,
Exactly.
billions. For instance, in 2020, long before the first budget in 2020, they gave Gaisuko 600 million. Budget one,
There you
they
go.
give 5 billion. They come
Hmm.
back in December of 2020, they ask for 4 billion for Gaisuko in a supplementary budget. February of 2021, 2 billion to Gaisuko. They come back in June, 1.5 billion to Gaisuko. They come back in December of last year, 2021, another 5.1 billion to Gaisuko. This year, in February, they give Gaisuko 6 billion. And then Papa Jagabat comes to tell us yesterday that they're revising downward the sugar production from Gaisuko after spending all of them billions. We understand now
Yeah.
why they won't want scrutiny of their spending. But Chris, is these same people coming to preach to us about good governance,
Hmm.
transparency,
Yeah.
accountability, and the whole lot? These
Exactly.
folks.
But even outside of them, Sherrod, there is a deafening silence from some quarters of society, and particularly quarters of the society that were very vocal and very loud on every other matter as it relates to the APNU AFC administration. But suddenly, those corners have gone very silent. I
Yep.
mean, not
Yep.
speaking about the entire Chamber of Commerce, but particularly those who sit on the executive of that body. You're not hearing from them. These guys used to be issuing statements left, right, and center. I mean, it is the basic expectation in a society that you expect that, listen, if I criticize, and people have a right to criticize because you live in the society, and therefore you have a right to speak out on matters that you consider unjust. But at the same time, you have to ensure that you balance that. So you can't be seen to be advocated on as it relates to one issue on one side of the fence, but you're completely silenced as it relates to the other, and it brings into question the integrity of these very bodies that I mentioned, and their whole modus operandi. Is it that they are a mouthpiece of the People's Progressive Party Civic? That when it suits the PPP's interests, these organizations and bodies will suddenly come out and issue statements, but when it does not suit, they stay very silent. And that is what is happening now in the society.
Precisely. Chris, before we come off the subject matter of the Public Accounts Committee, it has been pointed out that, all the sectoral committees except the Parliamentary Management Committee requires three persons for a quorum.
Mhm.
The PMC, or the Parliamentary Management Committee, requires two members from the House, and the Speaker, right? Two members from both
Correct.
sides of the House, rather, including the Speaker, right? So one wonders, if the norm is three persons, why we want to change it? And since they too have had chairmanship of the PAC, and it didn't bother them that
Yeah.
government must be represented, unless or else they
Hmm.
wouldn't have a committee meeting. It didn't bother them then. But also, what has been
Exactly.
pointing out is that this matter, the chairman of the Public Accounts Committee, Mr. German Figuera, MP German Figuera, pointed out that this matter should have been, one, raised at the committee level first, at the level of the PAC. Gail, the chair who is moving the motion, has never raised this matter there. And then two, it
Hmm.
should have been also taken to the Standing Orders Committee, right?
That's right.
Interestingly, the
That's right.
Standing Orders Committee has not met in 2 years. Never met since this
That's
12th
right.
Parliament has begun.
That's
Never
right.
met. And the
And
Speaker chairs that committee.
there you go. There you go. That is the point. So one would have expected that such a motion would have first been sent to that committee,
Maybe there should be
of
a
which
motion that the Standing Orders Committee should meet. Maybe that's where our
well,
first motion should be directed.
there you go too. There you go. But listen, I mean, these are grave situation in this country, and as we all would from time to time say that the PUP is great with propaganda, and they know how to play the society. Like for example, these outreach what they're having,
Hmm.
and doling out resources and so forth and so on. Yeah, people are excited to receive resources. People are excited to get a house flat or get issues remedied and so forth. But all of this is part of their propaganda to blindside the people. So while the people are distracted with goodies and sweeties, things that should be given to them on a norm, it should not require a minister or a president or a vice president to turn up in a region to fix a situation in which a street don't have portable water. You know,
But
it doesn't require that.
Chris,
It
what is
doesn't require,
strange
but
to me, what is strange to me as you're talking about that is the fact that a budget was read a month ago and
that's
an
the
airport
point.
for Palmyra wasn't on the horizon. Who dreamed of that?
No,
Sorry, an airport for
exactly.
Rose Hall wasn't on the horizon. Hemp for Gaisuko wasn't on the horizon. A stadium for Palmyra wasn't on the horizon. Were these things just like somebody just wake up one
Just
morning
pop
and
up.
this
Yeah.
country really being run like a corner shop? What's done a corner? I give a corner shop a bad name.
No, definitely, definitely. But that's the point. And listen, pronouncements like these are nothing new. With the PPP some years ago when they went to Linden and had this massive outreach, I think was leading into the elections. They told the people how many jobs they will be creating in that area. 20, is it 50,000 jobs that
Hmm.
will be
Hmm.
created and all of that?
Hmm.
We're still waiting for the, the Gaisuko workers were told during the campaign how many sugar estates will be
They
reopened.
say all
We
they can
still
make
waiting
sugar
for
great
that.
again. They say all of them.
Yeah, yeah, they're gonna make sugar great again. Up to now, nothing and open yet.
They're
And
looking
you
thin.
see now yesterday, the very same vice president who went shouted at you opening back everything is now talking about reducing the democracy. I mean, that is the reality of the PPP. The PPP could sell you a good dream. So they gone to Morbi, see the big outreach. We could build a stadium, yay! You know, we could give you all an airport,
Yeah.
yay!
Rose
Then
Hall
no
International.
timeline. Exactly, exactly.
Yep.
But all
Yeah.
while they use this to distract people from what is happening. Like, for example, this amendment or this motion that is coming to the parliament tomorrow to amend the standing orders in terms of the composition of the PAC and members sitting there too.
Yep. Yeah. I think they want to distract us from having a good day in Parliament tomorrow, as we should, because we're getting some fresh legs on the fields tomorrow, Chris. Some fresh
No,
legs on the
that's
field.
correct.
Talk to us about that.
Well, right. Well, fresh legs, and at the same time, not so fresh. Well, essentially, as you mentioned, tomorrow we will see the taking of the oath of office of the leader of the PNCR, Mr. Aubrey C. Norton, and veteran politician, former Minister of Public Health, Volda Ann Lawrence, will be returning to the National Assembly. Both members had their stint in the Parliament some years ago. So the parliamentary procedure and so forth is nothing new to them, but of course they come with a wealth of experience and as well to the political experience that is needed in the House. So indeed, it is an exciting day tomorrow to have the two members taking the oath of office, and of course, we will be moving forward as a collective thereafter into the probably 2025 elections if we ever reach there.
Because they don't seem to be making too much headway with GCOM. We can't even have a local government election. So I don't know how we heading. And since
Exactly.
2 years in,
Exactly.
we don't have an integrity commission, judicial service commission. We don't have a police service commission functioning. We don't have a teaching service commission. Who knows whether we can have a elections commission functioning too?
Exactly. Exactly. And I mean, as we spoke in terms of the retrogression of this country, local government elections. Local government election is something that the APNU AFC government reintroduced into
Yep.
this country
Yep.
after 23 years of
Yep.
none.
Yep. Yep.
And not only that we reintroduced it, you had two successive local government
Correct.
elections
Correct.
being held
Correct.
in the period that they were set out to do.
Correct.
Immediately when the PPP came into office, local government election is postponed.
And this
How
is and
many
this is
years
a and this
after
is a
now?
mandate by the Constitution. These people who claim they are the protectors and
Exactly.
defenders and guardians of the Constitution. The Constitution prescribes you must have local government election
Mhm,
every 3 years. But
mhm.
they
That's
pick
right.
out from the
That's right.
Constitution what they want to pick out and left the
That's
rest.
right. And they're known. They are known in terms of how the previous successive local government ministers operate. They stay from their office there in Kingston, and they direct every NDC and RDC and municipalities that they can control as to what they will do, what when they must do it, how much money they will give them, why they will give them, and specifically what those monies are spent for. Case in point, what is happening right now, our local government system is in chaos under Nigel Darmalal,
And you
who's
wonder
too busy
why.
sitting there.
Huh?
Yeah, exactly.
The
He's
nature
too
of the
distracted.
man.
He's too distracted.
Yeah.
He's too distracted, right?
Yeah. You
He
gotta take out
sits there
photographs daily,
and
sending this and so on, so you distracted.
exactly, and the photograph is nothing about development.
No, 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 no.
It's
Nothing is
all
developed there.
according to Chanel Daniels, it's all about shortcomings.
Yeah, yeah, a lot
But
of shortcomings. A lot of
so
that.
you have him. They are the counselors for the NDCs and the RDCs, in which he directs them from a WhatsApp group that he has. That we've seen the screen grabs of all of them.
Mm-hmm,
That
mm-hmm.
he sends and allocate a $3 million to some NDC in West Bubis, and then he directs them this money is to use for this, that, that. And that is not the role of the local government system. That's not the role of the councillors for RDCs and NDCs. Case in point again, as we had him in the budget debate or the consideration of the estimate, what transpired with Region 4's budget, in which the region which is the authority and the councillors who come from all of those villages on the East Bank and the East Coast of Demerara were never allowed to make their submission based on what the villagers wanted. Case in point, you have places like Victoria, Beirut, Golden Grove, Nabakalis, Plaisance, BV, just to name a few. You had the ones on the East Bank of Demerara. And the community pointed out that they needed this back drain to be dug. They needed these main streets to be rehabilitated. They need street lights. Some of them complain about the burial ground and the play field in the communities. And the councillors for those respective villages that I mentioned submitted that as part of their budget. And lo and behold, Nigel Darmalal and the REO of Region 4 excluded the entire council, including the regional chairman, from participating in the preparation of that budget. So the budget on the allocation that you see there for Region 4 is not from Region 4 in terms of the authority or the councillors. When they talk about democracy, when they talk about local government and the man in the street, listen, we have retrogressed so far. It brings tears to your eyes when you sit and you get the reports from these regions in terms of what is happening there at the local government ministry. And again, as I mentioned, those quarters, those organizations that have always been very vocal and individual and speaking about everything from the rain to the grass under the AP and UFC government have suddenly gone silent. You hear nothing from them. Is it that all things are bright and beautiful, or is it that they too
Far
are
from.
in fear of the PPP?
Yep, yep, yep. Or perhaps benefiting from the status quo. That's the other part. Money
Ah,
gotta make. Benefiting
It
from
might
the
be,
status quo.
might,
Benefiting from the
and I'll
billions
be
that is
agree.
being spent left, right, and center. I see people who were guardians suddenly got 5G network license and so on.
Man, things turn up. Lennox Schumann is Deputy Speaker of the National Assembly, sir.
Deputy Speaker plus advisor on aviation, millions of
That's
dollars
right.
per month plus perks. So benefiting
That's
from the
right.
status quo. Some in fear and some
hmm
benefiting. That being said, Chris, as we wrap up, watch a really posture of Guyanese at this junction or history. Nothing irregular, Chris. People are hurting and suffering out there. Watch your posture.
You know, Um, Listen, Sherrod, I was it? I think day before yesterday or during the weekend, I had a walk through around Starbrook Market area, chit chatting with some of the vendors, some of the taxi guys, and them people I know for many years before and so on. And it's like just to get a feel from them what is happening. And I kid you not, I don't know how Guyanese are surviving right now.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
It's literally not, you can't even say a shoestring. The
Mm-hmm.
cost of living has quadrupled. That you see people posting on Facebook that some months ago they used to go to the supermarket and spend like $28,000 in groceries. Now the same amount of groceries they're paying like $37,000. Everything has skyrocketed except wages and salaries for public servants. And it is the same. And now this is the cooperative oil producing republic.
Correct.
This is the oil producing republic, and the average Guyanese can't even eat a proper meal per day. People can't pay their utilities. People are taking out loans, and because when they go to the bank, their income doesn't match what the bank requires from them. And they have to get either a guarantor or somebody to stand guarantor for that. Nobody's going to stand guarantor for anybody because of the uncertainty in the country. I can't sign this paper for you because me know if it's my job or if they're gonna knock me off.
Mm-hmm.
Guyanese
Mm-hmm.
workforce are literally living in fear that they are unaware as to whether or not they will have a job tomorrow. So people aren't spending. Some of them who have house lot are fearful that listen, if I take out this loan and I lose my job, what gonna happen? You
Yep.
know,
Yep. Yep. Yep.
or they got
And
to wait.
yeah.
Do I spend money there? Go ahead.
Yep. Chris, which comes down to the point: who lead matters. Who lead matters. I mean, the cost Granger, the cost the coalition government, the cost up new AFC, but you're spending power. For instance, we're looking at the inflation rate under Jordan's stewardship of the economy. For instance, in 2020, wasn't 10 years ago, in 2020,
Mhm.
the inflation was 0.9. It means that you're spending the money you're earning had power in the marketplace. In 2021, it was 5.7. The inflation, that's why you got the same salary in your pocket, but you're going in the market and it's buying less. That is what it means.
Mhm.
And it's projected, if we continue the current course, it might be 11% by the time we get to December. Chris,
That's
it
right.
means that the
That's
same
right.
salary you're earning, doing less in the marketplace. I know the economists can back them up here. You're doing less in the
Mhm.
marketplace under these jacobats and trench crappers. So we
And they're
ain't we
going
ain't
around the
just
country
talking for
selling for the
talking
price
sake.
there.
We're backed up by the numbers. We're managing the thing better.
Mhm. Mhm. Mhm.
Right? Something's got to give.
But
Yep.
you're right. But you know what is about to happen too, Sherrod? So high cost of living, coupled with the fact that we were in a lockdown, so to speak,
Mm-hmm.
limited social activities and so forth,
Mm-hmm.
and recognizing the same pressure does bust pipe, and the
Yep.
PPP recognize this fact,
Yep.
and that is why you had this rash opening up of the country, not phased like in the next 2 weeks or no,
Mm-hmm.
blam,
Mm-hmm.
country open up,
Mm-hmm.
take off your
Mm-hmm.
mask, drop your vaccine card and
Mm-hmm.
just walk through. And then you see a whole host of events that are now coming on the card. Now, it is nothing new, especially as I said, if you've been in the hustings of this country for a number of years, you know the modus operandi of the PPP. And what they did back in the period when they served for 23 years is that every time the pressure is on the people economically, they introduce a lot of these events and social activities at the stadium, and you have all of these big artists coming and then all of this is to distract, particularly the young population. Everybody too busy. We're going to party, going on fete, and so forth. So if you look at the calendar of events, you will see a whole slew of activities from now right on to year end. So the country and everybody's so distracted with if it's a Dexter Daps or it's a Beres Hammond or a Glenn Washington or whoever come in. Everybody too busy focused on preparing for this show. So yeah, I'm focusing on the real issues. And the PPP again has returned to that modus operandi of distracting the populace.
Yep.
While the government run around the country and sell pipe dreams in the area. Because look, all they spoke to the residents there in Region 6. You know, the farmers still got the same issue, the rice farmers still got the same issue. Even when Jaglio went to Essie Crib and spoke with them, the issue unsolved yet, you know, and the rice farmers still have the same issue. It hasn't been addressed. But they gone to Borbis now and sell the people them pipe dream. We could build an airport for you, we could build a stadium, big celebration. And that is going to stay with the people mind for perhaps another 6 or 8 months. And when they realize that, okay, the excitement done we rate, they're going back to Borbis again. Sell another pipe dream. That's what the PPP does.
Yep.
Mean, yeah, that's what they do. That's them.
Management by pipe dreams. Chris, I want to thank you for spending this time with us. Looking forward to celebrating with our new parliamentarians and ultimately the new leader of the opposition tomorrow. We out here, people. We out here. Chris, Chief Whip Christopher Jones, Member of Parliament. I want to thank you, my brother, for stopping by today and for giving us some context for this, for these myriad issues. Thank you, sir.
Most welcome, sir.
Awesome. Folks, we want to say some prayers for our colleague, Janet Abermaller. We being able to understand who's being hospitalized at the moment, and they're telling us she's fighting for her life. And we want to ask you guys to remember our colleague. This is a soldier, folks. Remember our colleague, Janet Abermaller, to pray for her as you go about your devotions throughout the day, guys. Remember our colleague, Janet Abermaller. Folks, that's our time, and that's been our program for today, guys. We're so happy that you guys would have joined us. So happy to see so many of you here. Suzette Washington and Isabella Butters. Isabella came late, but good to have you. Nonetheless, Deborah Clark and Roxanne Aaron and Redoman Alexis. Alexis, thanks for the thing. Pace and power. Y'all don't mind my business. Stop it. Cherry Baskin Greenwich, good to see you as well. And Edward Gonzalez from the Bronx. Roxanne Aaron and Sia Rebel. Good to see you, Sia. How you doing at your end, Sia? How you doing, guys? Good to see you. Share the live stream. Smash that emoji button, guys. And remember to partner with us so we can do more of these programs. We can continue to spread this information, spread the news, guys, and keep you guys informed of what's happening. You all know we got several platforms, platforms available for you guys. We got Zelle, we got PayPal, we got Cash App, we got MMG, MoneyGram, Western Union, all for your convenience, folks, that you can help us. We're not funded by anybody else, you know. We totally rely on you guys out there who value what we do to come on board and to partner with us, guys. And if y'all ever see anybody cussing me down in public with money, y'all know we're doing the thing properly. Y'all know we're doing the things properly, folks. We've been good stewards, and we've been building, and we've been doing, you know, we need our own building, guys, that we walk into. And we do what we got to do, right? We tired paying rent. We can't be tenants all we life. We can't be tenants. We want to be home builders. That's my dream. That's my hope. That's my aspiration. And we're working towards those. And we want to thank all of you who've been good partners with us, faithful, consistent partners. Folks, you know, it's a drop in the ocean. So much to do. So we got our responsibilities to meet on a monthly basis. Those folks who rely on their services to pull these programs together for us, whether it's FYI, whether it's below the belt, whether it's in the ring, whether it's credible sources or affiliate website, to keep all that going, guys, for your benefit, folks. Getting credible, valid information to you. It takes something. We want to thank you guys for partnering with us. Again, several platforms available. You want to know how? 627-6963. That's our WhatsApp number. WhatsApp us, and we can tell you how which platform might better suit you based on where you are and what you're doing. 627-6963. That's the WhatsApp number you want to contact. It's also our MMG number. Thanks for joining us, folks. We out here in Good King. Paulet Hawk Kippins. We out here. Laverne. We out here. Donald Liverpool. We out here. Candidaline Inderjit. We out here. So Chisel Chipper 68. We see you. Thanks for joining us, folks. That's our time. That's our program. Folks, we're not kidding with you. We need your help. We need your help. Come on board and partner with us. Your dollars are going to be well spent. Thanks for joining us. That's our time. That's our program. Pace and power in 2022. Stay safe, folks. See you guys in the ring this evening at 8. That's our time. From here below the belt. Who vex lose. Stay safe.